All right, welcome back, guys. This video is actually one of the biggest ones that I've wanted to do for quite some time. Granted, I did make a video that talked about this in pretty decent length. I want to say 2018, maybe 2019 on my main channel. That was a long time ago at this point, number one. And then number two, it wasn't as detailed as I wanted it to be. And I mean, fast forward to today, there's quite a bit more things that I can bring up and discuss in great detail in contrast to how that video was. But this video is going to be about why I don't compete in tournaments. This is a very, very hot topic. I can't tell you how many times people contact me all the time to this very, very day. The big one just passed, what was that, October of last year, somewhere around there. And I was in the chat supporting the event, talking and cheering people on that were in the event that I knew of or knew in person. And so many people were saying, why aren't you there? Why aren't you there? When are you going to go to the big one? When are you going to the big one? When are you going to the big deal? When you go here? When you go there? When you go to Bite? And all these different events nonstop. On one hand, you know, I really do. It means a lot because people look up to me. People want to see me compete. And I totally get it. It makes complete sense. But on the other hand, there is quite a bit of history and quite a bit of reasoning as to why I have no interest in doing tournaments or events. And we're going to dive right into it here in just a couple minutes. But first, of course, I got to make a couple disclaimers here. Number one, this is just my opinion, obviously, right? Number two, it's my personal experience. So you can take what I say with a grain of salt in regards to don't take my personal experience and assume it's going to be the same for you or everybody else, right? That's not the case. There's plenty of events that are out there that are very well operated, that are done in good faith and have great people behind it. We literally just had a local one out here that was hosted by a handful of people that I knew, IRL, or at the very least acquaintances, and it was really fun to watch it. It was I was there to support it. I actually participated in the co-op division of that event. Just for fun, and that was my way of showing support towards my friends that put the event together, and there was a lot of passion put into it. So everything I'm going to be going over is not, it can't be a blanket statement. You can't apply it to every single event. And again, it's just coming down to my personal experience with what I've dealt with throughout the years of being involved in, granted, very few events. I haven't been in too many events as a whole, if you count, you know, Dance Dance Revolution, In the Groove, and Pump It Up, just strictly dance games. I can't count how many that I have entered, but not a whole lot in comparison to other people. And then was there any other things? I got bullet points for this video this time around. All right, that one. Oh, and the last thing to make a disclaimer about is there's a couple of sensitive topics that I'm going to be going over. So just a fair warning, just a heads up to you guys. Just be aware. But I'm trying to be fully transparent and give you my full reasoning, which I feel like I didn't do on my main channel with that one video back in 2018 or so. So this one, I want to just make it be a one and done thing, go over pretty much every reason that I can think of that's holding me back from entering events. And it's pretty much indefinite. I really don't see myself doing it, especially at this point in my life. You know, I'm 34 years old. I have a beautiful daughter, and I got a bunch of other things that I prioritize in my personal life and have other hobbies and interests, and I just don't see myself entering events. But without further ado, let's dive into this. I may pause here and there just to collect my thoughts. It's also a bit of a sensitive topic for me because of reasons that you'll see why. But also just, yeah, to collect my thoughts and make sure I'm getting everything covered and get all my points across as best as possible, which is why I wrote down a lot of bullet points. All right, so reasons that I'm not interested in events. Now, I did two categories. I did one that's under the lack of competitive integrity. That's the first major reason. And there's like subcategories in there that I'll be going over first. And then after that, there's additional reasons, which are just, you know, little micro things that collectively add up to be a huge turnoff for me. So the first one, lack of competitive integrity. So what do I mean by that? Point number one, rules changing suddenly. So in my experience, I've been to numerous events where, I can bring up one example. There's an event that was hosted, and I went to it, I traveled to it, and when I'm there, on the day of the event, this is for Pump It Up. Pump It Up is a game where singles and doubles are both equally important. And during this event, they actually, on the day of, canceled doubles, completely removed it after a certain point. I don't remember entirely like how deep it was in the event, but I know for a fact it wasn't super deep like at the very, very end. But even that is unacceptable. Because again, it comes back to the point that I said that this is under, for the category this is under, the lack of competitive integrity. How is it fair for people that are spending money to travel to these events? There's money on the line, granted not a whole lot, but there's a prize pool. There's people spending their time. They're spending their hard-earned money to go to these events. And there's rules posted, and during these events, they can change the rules on the fly. Now, I know the rebuttal is going to be, well, time is an issue, right? TOs have time limitations because of the facility that the event's being hosted at, usually round ones, or it could be a number of places and locations, but round one's been a more popular one. And I totally understand that and acknowledge that. So I want to make, that's another thing I want to make a disclaimer about too, is like, don't misunderstand this video as me trying to point the finger and say these people are bad TOs, these people are, you know, not fair, they're purposely doing this or that. Sometimes that's the case, but majority of the time, no. These people are very passionate. There's hardworking TOs that put in a lot of work in these events, and they do a great job. So keep that in mind. Just want to make that very, very clear. But unfortunately, I have come across quite a bit of times where rules are changed like that, where doubles are completely eliminated because of time constraint. And that does come down to, it begs the question of why is that the case? And why is the time an issue? Did you let too many people enter your event? Did you limit the brackets properly, the tournament bracket size properly? There's a handful of things that you could be asking about that to figure out like what caused that to happen. You know, and I get it. Again, sometimes hiccups can happen. It's not easy. I've done a couple of TOing before, nothing crazy major for like really big events that have big names behind them, just little ones that have been in my garage, and even that. Like, I do acknowledge that it is an issue, and that is a fair point to bring up. But it still comes down to the point that I'm trying to make, is that there's a lack of competitive integrity. Whether it's intentional or not, that's a different conversation. But rules changing suddenly, like I said right there, getting rid of doubles completely, there's money on the line, that's going to change the outcome entirely, whether people want to accept that or not. There are people that are really, really good at singles, but they lack skill in doubles, and there's vice versa. There's people that are really good at doubles, and they struggle with singles in comparison. And then there's also people that are just well-rounded at both, granted. Point number 2, under the lack of competitive integrity, biased TOs bending rules to favor others. So we haven't had, I don't know if they call it out in other countries, but I think it always ends with PF for Pump Festival. These are official tournaments that are hosted by Andamero, or like on behalf of Andamero. It's kind of weird, if that makes sense. Like, Andamero directly isn't flying out to these countries or these locations and like being there per se. Maybe they are sometimes, I don't know. I've been out of the loop, admittedly. But the last one that was here in the United States was USPF 2018. And I know for a fact Andamero wasn't there, but people that represented Andamero, non-employees, were there. So the face of Andamero was there running these events. But this is one example. At USPF 2018, I entered that event. That was my last official Andamero hosted, or whatever you want to call it, event. So this is considered the United States Championship. And when I went into that event, ended up winning it. So keep that in mind. So I know people are going to try to rebuttal and be like, oh, he's just bitter that he lost or whatever. No, this is coming from the person that won that event, the last host of the United States Pump Championship, okay, in 2018. With that said, during that event, I went up against a player whose significant other was the face of this, was running this event alongside with a couple other people. And I had my match against that person, and we played a chart, and that he went up first and ended up dropping holds at the beginning of the song. And after he finished playing, his significant other stood up and said, that was not him, that was pad error. That needs to, now I don't remember if they said it needed to be recalculated, you know, that, which means they undo the drop hold misses that happened in that section and fix his score accordingly, or if they said, let him redo it. Like, let him play it again. That wasn't him. But either way, that was the argument that was being made on the spot at the United States Championship. And I stood up and said, I had to pull up the rules that were posted on the Facebook page at the time and show them, like, it actually said that that's not allowed. You play it, and that's what you get. If there's pad issues, too bad. And I showed them that and then just said, let me play it. I ended up playing it, and this is on Prime 2, so my memory's a little foggy on how the scoring system was different. But basically, I played the song on the same machine, and I got a score that it didn't matter, basically, thankfully. So even if those misses were recalced or like taken out of the equation of the score, I still would have won. So thankfully that happened. But imagine if it didn't happen. Imagine if I didn't win that and they let the person redo it because of pad error or whatever have you, right? So this goes back to, again, the point of the lack of competitive integrity and fairness. And this also goes into the next point that I want to bring up is biased TOs, bending rules to favor others. I think that's the one I touched on and then went into this example. I can give one more example on this too. This is way back. Man, this was I think this was my first tournament ever for In the Groove. It was out in San Diego. It's actually where I met a bunch of friends that I ended up being friends with, befriended a bunch of people at that event. It was a fun event overall. But I don't know how deep in it was. It was near the end. I don't think it was the finals, maybe semifinals, somewhere around there. I'm up against my opponent. We're playing a chart. It's ITG, so we're both on the same cabinet, one pad each. And we're playing the chart, and I'm trying to remember correctly because this is like 2011. So I may be misremembering like every little detail, but I do know for a fact that we tied an X count for excellence, but my opponent triggered one of the mines. If you're not familiar with In the Groove, if you trigger a mine, it reduces your score by a little bit, and you have to be on a sensor to like trigger it when the mine hits the receptors up top. So we tied, but he hit a mine or a bomb, whatever you want to call it. And he called out pad error. He said it wasn't him. So the TO for this event said, switch sides, play it again. We did that. Guess what happened? It's kind of crazy. We tied EX again, but he triggered the mine. He said it was pad again. And then this is where it's a little bit of a foggy memory, to be fair. But I do know that we played it again a third time. And I don't remember if we swapped sides or not, but we did play a third time. And he ended up beating me with my... He won that round. He didn't trigger a mine, and then he beat the EX count that I had, so his score was higher. And I got knocked out of the tournament. I don't know. I'm kind of just like... As I'm telling these stories and I'm like remembering all this, it's just like little things like that just people, I don't know other people's experience in events. I mean, I've heard some people say good things. I've heard a handful of other people say bad things. I actually had Windforce out here several months ago, and he speaks pretty decent English, enough to where we could have a conversation. And he actually was talking to me about tournaments and stuff because he asked the same question. He's like, hey, I'm curious, why don't you enter events? He says, you're a really talented player, blah, blah, blah. And I went over all these things with him, had a really deep conversation with him. And funny enough, he actually brought up, he agreed with me and said, I too have experienced a similar thing happen to me in official events in Korea, official events in other countries, where I'm noticing that people that are organizing these events, they're bending rules, or people that are competing are trying to bend rules where they can or manipulate things to favor them as much as possible. And it solidifies my point is that there's all this biased stuff that goes on with people that are, funny enough, self-appointed, mind you, because a lot of these events are community-driven since there's a lack of official events. But then the other problem, too, is official events aren't even all that great. I mean, look at KAC, for example. People shit on how that event is operated and how it's the format that they use for it. And the same thing with, what's that called? WPF, World Pump Festival, so the World Championship. I think the last one was in 2016. I don't remember all the details of the rules for that, but I know this happened too with KAC, at one of the KACs. I know when they came out with the gold cabinet, they made everyone play on those machines, and I know there was, if not all the people that were entering that event, a handful of them were complaining about that and saying it wasn't fair. It just felt awful. I don't know if they modded the pad or not, so I can't speak on that. I'm not going to make assumptions with that, but maybe possibly that was another thing they were complaining about. I think it was Bersoni that was the most vocal about it, a Japanese player. I don't know how Chris Chaik felt about it, so again, I'm not going to speak on other people's behalf, especially when I don't know the facts for it. For WPF, I know in that format, at some point, if I'm not mistaken, you played one song, and that was it. you were just done. And then they also introduced the LX cabinet there at that event, if I'm not mistaken. And all these people are traveling all over from the world, right, to go to this event. And then that's what they're doing. That's how they present a world championship. And then, not to mention, the prize pool is honestly a joke. And all these events, is even official hosted ones. Now, I know the rebuttal is going to be, it's a small niche game. It's community driven most of the time. It's not the TO's fault. It's not anyone's fault in particular. When it comes to the prize pool especially, there's really nothing that the community can do to fix that problem. It just comes down to the brutal reality that it's just so niche and so small. So there's no finger pointing. There's no one to blame for that. That's just how it is. And I acknowledge that. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. Sorry. So I did biased TOs, bending rules to favor others. There's plenty of other examples that I could give, but I'm not going to get too stuck on like one individual point. And if you've ever experienced anything like this yourself, please share in the comment section down below. Like, let me know. It could very well just be like a minority issue. I really do think it is. And that's why I want to really focus hard on the point of what I said in the beginning of the video with my disclaimer, is that this is just my personal experience, right? This, again, doesn't mean that it's the case for every event or majority of events, because it very well likely isn't the majority of events. I could be just an outlier. Who knows? But regardless, I'm telling you why and giving you my story and my experience of what I've dealt with from as early back as like 2009 all the way to current time. The next one, this is actually kind of crazy that I even have to bring this up, and it's really sad. It's very upsetting that it's even an issue, but politics. Now, I guess politics could be, there's two types of politics. You can say like politics with like within the community itself of like, cliques and, biases and things like that. But the politics I'm talking about is actual like real world politics, politicians and political topics and things like that. One of the biggest examples that I can give you is that in 2020, after George Floyd passed away, I actually made a tweet. As you guys probably remember, this blew up all over social media. People were putting, black profile pictures where it's just a black image. There's nothing on it. Or putting, hashtag BLM in their Twitter bios or tweeting about it. People were very, very, very vocal about this event that happened in 2020. And shortly after this occurred, I actually made a tweet, which to this day, it's still on my Twitter account. You can go look at it if you don't want to take my word for it from this video. But I said something along the lines of, hey, guys, with everything that's going on in the real world right now, I just want to remind my community to not talk about political or controversial things in my Discord server and my Twitch streams. That's all I said. And the dance game community, from anywhere from DDR players to In the Groove players and Pump It Up players, everybody, not everybody, every dance game genre, had a handful of people that went on there and started dogpiling on me, calling me racist, alt-right, Trump-supporting bigot, homophobic, xenophobic. I mean, you just name it, dude. Any buzzword you can come up with, they threw that label onto me. And I stood my ground. And I actually went live the day of or the day after I made that tweet. And a whole swarm of people came into my live stream and started spamming Black Lives Matter, BLM, say his name, hashtag this, hashtag that. And I told them, and my mods told them, hey, stop spamming. It's a rule. So we started deleting the comments because they kept spamming it. And then, sure enough, people screenshot that and then put it on Twitter and say, look, he's silencing us. He's racist. They went further than that, too, with other things. But, again, I'm not going to go deep down in this rabbit hole. But a bunch of crazy accusations came out with that. And it's just complete, utter nonsense, chronically online mentality. And sadly, there is quite a few people in the dance game community in particular that have this type of mentality, that have that chronically online mentality and thought process, and it bleeds in to these games somehow through events at times. Now, again, maybe this has died down. I don't know. I've been out of the loop completely. But again, speaking from experience and during the time where I was more active on social media in comparison to where I am nowadays, there was quite a bit of this stuff being discussed, and going as far as even after that happened, there was a I don't remember the name of the Facebook group, but it was a Facebook group of, again, self-appointed people that all think very similarly, and if they don't, then they will exile you from the community. They will try to cancel you. They will try to silence you if you disagree with them on anything. And even as little as something as that, where it's just me saying, hey, let's keep political and or controversial things out of my community, of my very own community that I built, my platform that I earned and worked for. Not yours, not anyone else's. But what was I getting at? The Facebook group that I was talking about, there was a thread that was made to discuss whether or not I should be permanently banned from certain events because I was a threat to the community because of that tweet. And again, that tweet is still there to this day. So if you want to scroll way, way back, I think it was around like, it was in 2020. I think it was like April or so, give or take, right around there. By all means, go check it out. It's just complete, utter nonsense. Again, it's just insanity to me that this is even a thing. And I don't know if this is still going on to this day. It wouldn't surprise me because there's a lot of the familiar old faces are still in these scenes running a lot of these events. So it's a big reason that it's a huge turnoff. It's not welcoming. It's very, very ironically closed-minded, which is something they always preach to be against. And they always talk about saying, you know, we're open arms, this and that. But the moment you have any slight misalignment with them in any political view, no matter how tame of a take you have, you will get exiled if they do not like you or do not agree with what you're saying. They'll chew alive their own people. It's crazy. It's like they do this like the self-purity test or like a purity test on other people, and it's just eventually it's very very polarizing and very again narrow-minded, and it's damaging to the community because it will eventually they'll have nobody left to do this purity test on because they're just they're pushing people away from this game. And it's like of all things to get politics involved in, it's like dance games. Like, really? That's just insanity. I just don't understand it, and that's a really, really big one that I really needed to bring up and emphasize because from my experience, it was very unwelcoming and very narrow-minded, and it was a huge turnoff from attending major events, especially because, again, a lot of the people that are running up these big events, at least during that time, again, don't know how it is nowadays, haven't looked into it, was these same people that are very, very politically extreme, is the best way to say it, or chronically online, not living in reality, so to speak. So the next point I want to bring up is it's not an even playing field. This is something that it's crazy again to me for this one too. I always hear people say that, like, you know, whenever I try to criticize certain tournaments or events or like the structure of dance game tournaments and whatnot, point out flaws of different things, right? It could be a number of different things. The answer I always get back is, well, it's an even playing field for everybody. No, it's not. How is it an even playing field when, let me think of an example here. I would say one that comes to my mind like right away is warm-ups. Warm-ups is a really big issue. Some tournaments let you warm up, number one, some don't. Hear me out on this too, because I'm going somewhere with this. Because I know that people are going to say right away, well, the ones that let you warm up, it's still an even playing field, right? Because you can warm up. Or the ones where it's like, well, no one can warm up, so it's an even playing field, right? It's like, no, it's still unfair because I think this happened at one of I don't remember the name of the event. It was a big event, and now the name of it has escaped me, but at least I heard from someone who attended it that said that there wasn't warm-ups, and it's rough that way, which is, for the ones that don't allow warm-ups, I think that's really, really lame. I don't know how you can take it seriously, in my opinion, if you don't allow warm-ups, but I'm getting distracted. Sorry. What happened at this event was that at some point, you know, once you get further into an event, it's obviously the tournament bracket is shrinking and getting more narrow. So you're going to see the same people coming and going more often, right? So how is it an even playing field if player A gets to play 2 sets back to back because the tournament bracket is, you know, getting smaller and smaller, right? Again, it's not the TO's fault per se for this particular issue, but they get to play 2 sets or 3 sets in a row, and now they're like fully warmed up compared to player B, who's been sitting waiting for their set, and hasn't been given the chance to warm up, or they're just not allowed to warm up. There are some events that don't allow warm up and some that do. But for the ones that don't, player B is sitting there waiting while player A just played 2 or 3 full sets against an opponent, and now they have the advantage because they've played more songs and are more warmed up. Doesn't make any sense to me. I don't like that. Not a fan of it. I personally think the best way to make it the most fair, there's other issues though, granted, but in the context of warm-ups, in a perfect world, again, I think let people warm up side by side, and then that gives them the opportunity to play at their best on that particular day. Now, logistics is where the issue comes into this. I know that's going to be the rebuttal. Time restrictions, cab restrictions. Some events only have 1 cabinet, or they have 2, but they have a big tournament bracket with a lot of entries in it, and it comes back to time. Fully acknowledge that. Again, this is no one's fault in particular at all. It's the nature of the beast. It's just the way it is. When you're hosting these events at, facilities like Round 1, yeah, you have time restrictions, and I fully acknowledge that, and that's a fact. But with that said, that's still a gripe that I have with tournaments. I do not like when it's either no warm-ups at all, or if you can warm up, it's like a single song. It's like, if you want to compare it to like sporting events, which you could argue, again, apples and oranges, which, yeah, it is. But just to look at it as a reference, right? You have athletes at NFL games that are given like 2 hours to warm up. If you've ever gone to like a sporting event of any kind, you get there early. All the players on both teams are on the field warming up for, like I said, an hour or 2. It's crazy contrast when you go to a dance game tournament. You go up, it's like the further in you get to a tournament, think about it. If you're like climbing up, it's like, all right, you got to play, Chaos again, D26. All right, get up and play it. It's like, it's kind of a joke. With all due respect, again, no disrespect towards TOs. It's not their fault. But just when you look at it from from a competitive mentality, how could I take something like that seriously where you can't play warmed up? Even when the ones that do let you warm up, again, they're limited on time. So you're not truly getting warmed up for these events. I've been on that topic long enough, I feel like. That was under not an even playing field. Oh, well, then the other point was not a welcoming environment. I can kind of gloss over this one a little bit because that kind of ties in back to the politics thing that I brought up, where that was one reason out of many of why it's not a welcoming environment. I know there's going to be a handful of people that will say, well, I've had a polar opposite of experience. It's been a very welcoming invite for me, and that's great. Honestly, like, more power to you. If you want to go to these events, by all means, continue going to these events. Again, don't mistake this video as like, hey guys, let's come together and boycott events. It's like, no, there's great TOs and there's great events out there that are hosted by great people. Like, I literally just attended a local event with what I just explained. It was a great event. It was a bunch of fun. I love socializing with everybody that was there. It was a great experience. But with that said, majority of my experience in the past has not been the case for that. It's been a very unwelcoming environment. I've had a lot of bad experiences with different people. It could be part of that is because I'm under a spotlight, so to speak, because I have platform. I'm considered a top-ranked player as of now and pump it up. And so people are watching me under a microscope, so to speak. So maybe that's a big reason why I'm noticing it more. And there's also, people making threads about me, making tweets about me, and with hundreds of comments at times or several comments. And that's something that the average player is not going to have happen to them, right? So I think that's something you have to really keep in mind when listening to what I'm saying. And think about that if you're one of those people that's like, well, I've not had that experience. It's like, well, yeah, you haven't had that experience before because you're not under a spotlight. I really think that's a big reason towards it. Outside of that, though, for like the not a welcoming environment, I mean, there's small things that I guess you could say collectively add up to be like a nail in the coffin kind of thing, like collectively, rather than like being a big thing for me. I mean, just as early back when I first discovered there was even dance game communities, I went on a forum, posted a score because I didn't know if it was good or not. I was curious, like, hey, how are other people's scores on this kind of chart? And I legitimately didn't know. It turned out to be a world record, actually, at the time. It was really, really funny. And people were like, who the fuck is this guy? But then word got around eventually because I let them know that my mom and dad purchased a machine for me for one of my birthdays. And that was, keep in mind, this is my first exposure to any sort of community online. And a bunch of people dogpiled on me and belittled me, made fun of me, taunted me for my being rich. And my mom and dad, mommy and daddy buying me a cabinet. And it's just like, that was my first exposure. It's like, wow, like judging somebody because they have parents that care about them enough and are lucky enough to have the funds that they worked very hard for to buy their son that they love a cabinet. And again, it just stems out of jealousy and bitterness and resentment. That's the biggest thing that you could really take out of this video is like when it comes to all the bias stuff and all these things, like these people that we're talking about, even if they're in the minority, it doesn't matter. They exist and they are there. And you hear more from them, the more popular you are. And also if you don't align with different political topics or different ideologies or whatever have you. And it all just stems out of bitterness. They're unhappy. They're jealous. They're miserable people. So they go online and they attack people and will bring them down or try to bring them down to their level of misery because they're not satisfied with their own life. That covers the lack of competitive integrity reasons. The next category, this is going to be a lot shorter, I feel like, unless I end up ranting like an old man yelling at a cloud on this. But these are just additional reasons that are outside of lack of competitive integrity. So number one, socks and skinners are banned at a lot of events. I say a lot, but again, I could be wrong. I've heard through word of mouth of different people that are currently going to events where they either were banned or they're being discussed about possibly being banned. I separated these from the lack of competitive integrity because, again, even though that was the case for some things in that category, this is another example of it's not the TO's fault all the time. Some TOs, sure, might choose to do that. But majority of the time, from what I'm hearing, it's round one. Round one has been very vocal about trying to get rid of socks and skinners, socks especially, but skinners, I remember when I popularized skinners, I went to round one and so many times the employees would just be on my ass of like, hey, no socks. And I had to show them the bottom, like, it's a shoe. Like, it's a fucking shoe, man. At one point I had to bring in, the physical box for the skinners and show them like this is what it is, and eventually they got off my ass, but that was way back before COVID, man. And to this day apparently they're still getting on TOs and telling TOs like, hey, socks and skinners are not allowed. So again, it's not the TO's fault. It's just it's one of those things again where it's like it's just the way it is. Not always, but most of the time. Next point, small cash prize. This one, honestly, it's not a big thing for me personally. It's not like the end all be all, so to speak, but it's just, I'm adding like, whether it's a small reason or a big reason, at the end of the day, it's still a reason, right? Small cash prize. So my argument for this is why compete if there's no major cash prize? I mean, what's the reasoning behind it? I mean, for fun? Okay, that makes sense. There's plenty of people that enter events and just want to have fun, and again, more power to you. I get it. But if you're talking about like the competitive side of it, right? If you're like try-harding and trying to actually, win the event, it's like, what are you getting out of it? Like, think about it. That's the question I want to ask to you guys. Like, think about it from a not a casual perspective, but a competitive perspective. What do you get out of winning these events? At most, a couple $100, if that. It's like that doesn't even pay for your flight. If it's local, okay, cool. I mean, a couple $100, but what else are you getting out of that? Let's put the prize money aside, right? Let's just say there's no prize pool because some events don't have prize pools because they can't fund it or they don't want to charge people for entering or whatever the reason, right? Then what is it for? It kind of ties back into my previous video where I was talking about like validation and just wanting to be accepted and chasing for that high online. It can be the case, and I feel like it is for most people. Again, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, or if you feel like you're one of those people. There was a lot of people in the previous video that were actually in agreement and saying, you're right. I feel so called out, but that's me. I'm that guy chasing after that high online, and I really need to check myself. Maybe it's the same case for, maybe it could be small pool of people, average amount of people, or maybe majority of people feel that way. Let me know. Seriously. But like, what's the reason that you'd want to compete on a serious competitive level in these events, what do you get out of it? Is it that validation of wanting to feel accepted and like fit in with different cliques that are in this community? Inevitably, I mean, it's in every community. There's always a clique. There's always the cool kids and always the outcasts and this and that. Is that the reason you're trying to climb the ranks of like the social ranks of being accepted and being acknowledged that you exist? Because again, I can tell you, again, from firsthand experience, you're never going to get it. You'll never get it. I can't tell you how many people like try to, it's a minority group of people, granted, but they're very vocal to try to diminish my achievements in the past, on past games and on this game, and try to ignore my existence and act like I'm just not there because they don't like me that much. They do not want to talk about me. They don't want to acknowledge scores that I've gotten. If my name comes up, they cringe at the very thought of it. It's like, it's again really, really sad. I've had to go as far as people have banned my name in their Twitch chats. I'm not going to name drop people for any of these examples that I've brought up before, with like events and things that have happened with interactions with that. That's not what this is about. This isn't going to, the whole point of this video is to give you my reasons, not to start drama, not to cause conflicts, not to get pitchforks out and do all this, defending and white knighting for me. I don't want any of that. I'm simply just telling you my story and my experience, and that's that. Where was I? Small cash prize. I went into depth about that, but yeah, my point was like, what is the point? Like, what are you really getting out of it? You get a cool little trophy, and then you put it in your garage, and then people, like, it kind of goes back to the title grind. People, like, how long is that going to hold up? For, let's just say you win an event, like the big one. We'll use arguably the most popular and most, what's the word? Taken serious event out there right now in this day and age for Pump It Up is the big one. And again, no disrespect to this event, but let's just say you win. What do you get out of it? I think the prize is a ticket to the next, like a plane ticket to the next event. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I've heard. But if you win, right, for the social aspect, how long does that last of you getting glazed by everybody online? Like, oh my God, this and that. It's not that long. And then it's going to be forgotten. So quick. It will be so quickly forgotten that it literally happened this way, where Zafrada won, I think it was 2023, big one, Zafrada won. And everybody went crazy because it was such a crazy event because for the average person, they're all expecting Fafems to win, and he ended up losing. That's a whole other topic that I'm going to get into shortly after this point because that has a lot of issues too. But anywho, Zafrada wins 2023, big one, right? What happens on the last one that happened, 2024? There was a huge tournament upset. He dropped the hold on, I don't know the name of it. It's one of the D24s. At the very end, he dropped it, and then it knocked him out of the tournament. And what happened? He got memed on, shat on online. I saw it firsthand during the live stream, in the live chat, and on social media. People were just taunting him, belittling him, memeing on him really hard, not even like in a friendly way, like very, very like rude, brutal comments. And I don't have direct contact with Zafrada, but I have the person who owns the PIU House Chile channel. I don't remember his name, but he owns the cabinet that's at that house that they live stream at. He was like my middleman, so to speak, where I would reach out to him to kind of get in touch with Zafrada. Never met the guy, but he seems really, really humble and really like a really genuine guy. And so after that happened, I actually messaged this person and said, hey, like, I'm just checking up on Zafrada. I want to make sure he's feeling okay mentally because, like, he's got to feel awful, man. Like, I mean, this is, again, something that people don't talk about is the mental, the psychological stuff that can happen for especially top-ranked players that are, again, under a spotlight. People are very harsh to critique. It's not even critiquing. It's just shitting on you. People will jump and dogpile on you when you fail or you make one mistake, and especially under tournament format. This happened with Franco at Byte, apparently. There was a couple people that actually came to Avalanche, and we eventually got on this topic, funny enough, with tournaments, and they actually told me their story about, oh, yeah, I was there watching Franco play at Byte, and he lost to another, and people in the crowd were like talking to each other about how Franco's washed and he's bad and this and that. And it's just, again, like what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Like, what the thought process of that? Like, what goes on in your head to feel the need to belittle somebody that's a human being, and you're treating them like like some AI robot that's just a walking YouTube video of PGing everything. That's what it feels like. Again, speaking from a top player perspective, I've come across a lot of people that treat me like that. Like they treat me like Happy Feet and not Seth, if that makes sense. And they treat me like I'm just like this this person that my entire identity is just pump it up, and I have no other hobbies, no other interests, and that's it. And it's very unfortunate. I mean, I wish people would, when they have the opportunity to talk to me one-on-one in person, like just talk about different things and like have like a normal type of conversation instead of just pump it up. Slightly off topic, apologize, but yeah, going back to what I was saying, Franco at Bite, when he lost, huge tournament upset. Everyone was, not everyone, but a handful of people in the crowd were taunting him, belittling him, according to the person that was there physically at the event in the crowd. When Fafems lost to Safrada, same thing happened. When Fafems lost at WPF in 2016, same thing happened to him. Saw it firsthand when Oreen or Oseen, or Oriu, whoever passed 1949 D28 first, he was the first person to pass it. A bunch of Fafems fanboys went on that YouTube video that originally was uploaded. It got deleted or taken down. But eventually he re-uploaded it way later. But at the time, he got literally bullied into taking down the video because people were saying things like, oh, this isn't legit. Fafems is better than you. This and that. Fafems did it more legit, blah, blah, blah. Just stupidity. Stupid comments, complete nonsense, purely out of ignorance and bitterness, jealousy, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same reasoning behind it. And it's just really sad to see. It's really upsetting that people are this harsh towards one another, regardless of their skill. And I mean, I find it more amusing when it's people that are criticizing top-ranked players like Franco, Fafems, Afrada, myself, and plenty of other people. They're criticizing those people when they're nowhere near the level that they're performing at, even when they're having a bad day. And it's just like, who are you to say these kind of things? I'm going to say, too, like, the rebuttal for what I'm talking about right now is going to be just ignore it. They're haters. I got to say, I do agree with you that at the end of the day, like, you do have to just get the thick skin and just deal with it because it just comes with that. It's just part of the territory. You are right on that. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? Think about hearing that for over a decade. Like, at this point in my life, like 15 years, over and over and over and over. I don't care who you are. Eventually, it will get to you, and you will break down sooner or later. And it 100% it has happened to me quite often in the past. Thankfully, nowadays, I've gotten a lot more confident and feel a lot more better. But I'm still a human being, right? Plenty of days where it will get to me, but the difference is I'll get back on my feet and move forward. But when it comes to, I think I covered all that stuff, right? Harsh critic. Franco at Bite, Fafems, Afrada, big one losses. Yeah, those are the examples. And then WPF for Fafems. So that all came in from the point of everyone's a harsh critic. And this ties into my other video I just uploaded about mental health. This is something that I really feel I need to make it very, very clear to people because they misunderstand and it's not their fault. Because it's just they don't know any better. So let me just make this very clear to you. When Double X had the content drought during COVID and also the data wipe, that was pretty much the nail in the coffin for me. Like that was like the finale that I felt like where I was like, I lost a lot of motivation and a lot of drive to want to keep playing. So I took a 2-year break. I thought I was done. I really did. During that 2 years, like I didn't have any intention of playing again. I couldn't believe it because I've played dance games since I was 8 years old. I'm 34 years old now. But Phoenix came out. And I saw the scoring system and it really intrigued me and it caught my attention. And I decided to get back into it. And, I had to de-rust and brush off the cobwebs, so to speak. And to color me shocked, I actually had a lot of fun when I was first getting back into it. I bought the hard drive for Phoenix, and But the thing was that I really want to hone in on was when I got back into it, I went in with a new perspective and new mentality. Um, and that mentality was, I'm gonna play this game for my mental health and my physical health. I've been through. I want to say been through. It's still going on right now. It's not finalized, but I've been divorced as of 2022, and there's a lot of mental stress that comes with a divorce. If you haven't been through one, I'm sure you could just use your imagination. Been through a lot of stress with the divorce situation. A lot of online drama in my lifetime, especially during my divorce, and just a lot of toxicity. Again, a very unwelcoming environment. And so when I got back into Pump, I used it as a what's the word? A resource, I guess, or like a hobby to prioritize my mental and physical health. Those are the two main reasons that I'm playing Pump It Up. Now, it just so happens that I still have my talent alongside with that. And so I feel like a lot of people are misunderstanding my intention for playing, which is partially why they're asking me constantly online, whether it's directly or just in general, of, hey, why don't you compete in tournaments? Why don't you compete in tournaments? When are you going to go to the big one? When are you going to go here? When are you go there? Again, it's flattering, and I get it's out of good faith too. I'm not trying to shun people that ask these questions or bring me up in these topics or conversations or whatever have you. I totally understand it. I don't have a problem with it, because again, they don't know any better. But I'm trying to. That's why I want to make this video and bring it out, is shed some light on pretty much all the reasons I have. There could be like one or two small things I'm forgetting about, but all the core reasons as to why I personally don't take competitions for Pump It Up in particular, or just dance games as a whole seriously, for all the reasons that I've given you. And I prioritize my mental and physical health because of all the things that I've gone through in the last couple of years, especially. But as a whole, since 2009, give or take, since I first got introduced to the community, I had a very bad first impression, and had a lot of bad things that happened after that multiple times, and it just wasn't welcoming. It wasn't welcoming, and it was a huge turnoff, and it has led me to stay away from a bunch of major events for all the reasons I've listed. And I mean, even if those things were an issue, granted, those are the main issue of those experiences that I've lived and dealt with, but the additional reasons too are also valid. But those are like more of the smaller reasons, so to speak. I think I've covered everything that I've wanted to, that I feel like I needed to get off my chest for it. Looking at my notes here, I've covered all my bullet points. I mean, all I have left is the conclusion section. And I mean, I think I sound like a broken record, but I just, for people that are skipping through it, I do want to acknowledge again that there are so many people in this community that are great. Majority of people in this community are very supportive, positive people. There's plenty of tournament organizers that put their blood, sweat, and tears into their events that they host, and they do a phenomenal job. Again, there's only so much as a community. There's only so much that TOs and people that are trying to, help better the scene can do. There really is. It's a shitty reality because of the nature of the games. So again, I want people to hear me say that I do acknowledge that. It is not entirely the TO's fault. The biased people are outliers, but unfortunately, I've come across a lot of that through my lifetime of playing these games and attending certain events. And it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it's happened, but it has happened. But yeah, I want to acknowledge that and give a shout out to all the TOs and all the people that are great and that have put in a lot of work into these events. Second point, already got across that. The last thing was like the hands being tied with like time because of the facilities, but also the access to cabs. Not everyone can go get, in a perfect world, let's get, 6 cabinets, LX cabinets all lined up and have, a big tournament bracket, $10,000 prize pool, pay for people's flights that can't afford it, all this crazy stuff, get crazy big sponsorships, get thousands of viewers on Twitch for these live streams or on YouTube. Have like half of the cabinets for running the event, like let's say I'm trying to think here, like 8 LX cabinets, right? Let's see here, 2, 4. All right, so like 2 are for the singles, 2 are for the doubles, so that's 4 cabinets, and then the other 4 can be for warm up, like 2 for like single warm ups, 2 for doubles, or whatever have you. Like that's in a completely like like la la land. Like good luck ever getting there, right? It's probably never gonna happen, but that would be really cool, wouldn't it? That'd be really cool if that actually did exist in a perfect world. But alas, we do not live in a perfect utopia. So I think that's about it. How long is this video? Oh my god, it's almost an hour long. It's funny. I was like thinking to myself, all right, it's gonna be like 20 minutes, but nope, way longer. But I think it's for the better, because I feel better now, like getting it off my chest and talking about all these things and having it, with my face just on camera, full screen, getting all my thoughts out and just venting to you guys that are watching and just hearing out what I have to say with what my experience is and what I've gone through with all this stuff. It is unfortunate, but again, I don't want pity. I don't want white knighting. I don't want, or whatever you want to call it. I don't want empathy or any of that stuff. I'm not here for woe is me playing like Eeyore. I'm not. It's not my character. It's not what I want to do. Just want to clear the air and give you like upfront reasoning why I personally don't take them seriously. And I see them more as a joke, in my opinion, and I have a lot of problems with them, and give you all the reasons as to why I feel that way. And you could completely disagree with me. I'm sure it's going to happen. There's going to be plenty of haters that are going to cherry pick and try to criticize, but it just solidifies my point of, harsh critics that are not coming out of good faith. They're not doing it out of good faith. They're doing it out of hate of, I don't like Happy Feets for XYZ and whatever have you. I mean, that's just how it goes. But anyway, thank you for watching and listening. If you made it all the way through the video without skipping, I salute you. I honestly, that is impressive. Share your thoughts. Please share your thoughts in the comments. If you've experienced anything with like this, please let me know. I'm genuinely curious. I do think I feel like I know that it's a minority thing for sure, and that's a good thing. That is a very good thing, and it is inevitable. No matter what scene you're talking about, I feel like it's more apparent in this scene because of how niche and small it is. Does that make sense? So there's not as many people in this genre, so it's more apparent because it's smaller versus something like let's just Overwatch or League of Legends or something that's huge, right? Maybe it's not as noticeable, or maybe it's the opposite because there's more people with therefore more toxicity. I don't know what I'm getting at, but you probably get what I'm trying to say. I digress. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. And thanks for all the support on all these like talking videos. It really honestly motivated me, and I've been wanting to make this video for so long, but I just never got around to it. Didn't feel all that confident in the past, like I mentioned, but I just feel a lot more confident. I feel a lot more better mentally. I'm in a much better place mentally now than where I was even just like 3 or 4 years ago. It's crazy to think about, but anywho, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and y'all have a great day, and God bless. Bye, guys.